What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and this is my reaction video to the 2013 NFL playoffs, the conference championship games. Both games just went down on Sunday, and it further goes to prove why attempting to predict NFL games is so difficult. It's not that the games are unpredictable, because there are other prognosticators out there who I have a lot of respect for, who are doing much better than me predicting this playoff season. But holy cow, just, some of the way that some of these games are going is just very difficult to predict when you're a very numbers-oriented and history-oriented prognosticator, as I like to think that I am. So this week was a little difficult. I'll start off by saying I was only 2-3-1 predicting the two games this week. Now, you may wonder where that 1 is coming from. Well, you'll notice in one of the spreads for one of the games, and I'll tell you, it was the NFC Championship game, if you go back and watch my video, I had that spread at Atlanta +4. So we might as well start there and figure out where exactly that push ended up coming from. So obviously, NFC Championship game, the San Francisco 49ers defeated the Atlanta Falcons 28-24 in Atlanta to move on to the Super Bowl. Of course, on the money line for this game, I told you to take Atlanta straight up. Obviously, that didn't work out. Looked like it was working out for the first 3 quarters or so, but once again, Atlanta was simply just not able to hold on, and they just ended up, looked like they gassed out, just looked like they got really, really tired down the stretch, and San Francisco did not. Against the spread that I had for this game was Atlanta +4. Now, obviously the game ended with Atlanta losing by exactly 4 points. So that is a push. That is not a win. It's not a loss. Technically, it's a push, just like that tie between San Francisco and St. Louis. It's just kind of an outlier out there. So with the spread, I ended up pushing on this game with Atlanta +4. Over-under, I told you to take over 49, so that one did work out. So I was 1-1-1 predicting this game. I got the money line incorrect, I pushed on the spread, and I correctly predicted over 49 points. Taking a look at the quarterbacks, Colin Kaepernick was 16 of 21, so very good ball management for Kaepernick, throwing 233 yards with 1 touchdown and no picks. Matt Ryan was a little bit busier, 30 of 42 for his passing, 396 yards, an Atlanta Falcons playoff record for Matt Ryan, 3 touchdowns, but 1 costly late interception. Comparing the running backs, Frank Gore carried the ball 21 times for 90 yards, finding pay dirt twice in this game. The rest of the team combining for 59 yards on 8 carries and a touchdown by the speedy LaMichael James. Whereas you take a look at Atlanta, their whole team spread across 5 different ball carriers, including Matt Ryan, the quarterback, 23 carries for 81 yards and no touchdowns. To me, it wasn't enough of an emphasis and dedication on the run game, and now part of that is San Francisco had Atlanta in multiple situations where they were, second and long or third and mid, which is just not running situations, and I understand that. But a little bit more emphasis on the run game, I think, would have helped out Atlanta a little more in this game. Comparing the wide receivers, Vernon Davis had 5 catches, put up 106 yards through the air and 1 touchdown. Michael Crabtree added 57 yards on 6 catches. The rest of the team going for 70 yards on 5 catches. On the Atlanta side, it was the usual suspects here. Julio Jones, 11 catches on the game, put up a $182 through the air and 2 scores. Obviously, it was Atlanta's biggest weapons being Atlanta's biggest weapons. Roddy White had 7 catches for exactly 100 yards, and Tony Gonzalez, in what is likely his final game in the National Football League, put up a very Tony Gonzalez game. 8 catches, 78 yards, and found the end zone in this final game. Taking a look at the defenses, San Francisco did manage 1 sack on Matt Ryan. That was by Isaac Sopoaga. Had an interception also from Chris Culliver. And Patrick Willis led the way in tackles for San Francisco with a combined 12. Atlanta picked up 1 sack of their own. That was from Corey Peters. Also had a forced fumble from Dunta Robinson. And their top tacklers with 8 tackles each were Thomas Declue and Akeem Dent. Now, we took a look at the X Factors, and I asked you whether Kaepernick could come close to matching that career game there that he had against Green Bay. Really, if you look at the numbers, the numbers were not overly close. You remember, in the previous game, 444 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Well, here he threw for 233, was completely ineffective on the ground, and only threw for 1 score. But what he did was he managed the game. He didn't necessarily decide the game, but he definitely managed it. We mentioned there, only 5 incomplete passes, 16 of 21, is excellent numbers for what is basically a rookie in the playoffs, and he did not have any turnovers. He didn't fumble the ball. He didn't throw any interceptions. He managed the game very, very well and gave his team an opportunity to score points every single time that they had the ball. And really, that's all you can ask a young quarterback to do in the playoffs, and that is exactly what Cap went out and did. X factors number 2, we talked about offense versus defense. Both offenses looked very good in the game, but the difference really came on the defensive side of the ball. Every time San Francisco went out on offense, you could have confidence that they have a chance, really, to stop Atlanta. Like, they can force some punts. When Atlanta's defense was on the field, they did not look like they could hang. I mean, they looked tired, and their coverage was really, really sloppy. On a couple of catches, especially by Vernon Davis, there was no one within 10 yards of him on any side. I mean, it was just a gigantic coverage gap. And the third X factor, we talked about Atlanta being, a very good home team, and whether San Francisco could come in and beat a very good home team at home. We mentioned before, this is the same San Francisco team that a month ago went into Gillette Stadium and beat the Patriots. So clearly, this is a team that can win on the road. They didn't have to show it against Green Bay. They had to show it here, and they played a very, very, very good game. Some early jitters had Atlanta jumping out to that big lead. I think it was 17-0, but the longer the game went, San Fran just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away, and really displayed that they were the better team. So now we move over to the AFC. We had the Baltimore Ravens going into Gillette to play the New England Patriots. Baltimore shocked many people, I believe, by beating the Patriots in the, not just beating the Patriots straight up, because these are two teams that always played each other very, very well, which is why taking the line there of, it was like anywhere between Baltimore plus 8.5 and Baltimore plus 9.5. It was a total gift. It was a late Christmas gift, that spread. So, I mean, Baltimore was beating this spread one way or the other, but I think the fact that Baltimore not only won straight up, but just really dominated New England in this game, I think surprised a lot of people. Baltimore defeats New England 28-13 to play San Francisco for the Super Bowl. Now, I told you on the money line to take New England straight up. Of course, that did not end up working out. Against the spread, I took Baltimore plus 9. Again, that was the gift from God there, so we took that one and we got that. The over-under, I told you to go over 51 points, even though 51 is a big number. They definitely did not reach that. They only put up 41 points, so I was incorrect on that one. So I was 1-2 predicting the AFC game. Compare the quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, 21 of 36 for 240 yards, but still put up 3 touchdowns. And Flacco consistently puts up 3 touchdowns on this Patriots defense. You look at the other side, Tom Brady, the number that really jumps out at you, 29 of 54. Not just the fact that Brady had to attempt 54 passes, but that he only completed 29 of them. That is, what, 25 incompletions? That is way too many for Tom Brady, and for how talented this receiving core is, way too many incompletions. But he still put up 320 through the air, had 1 touchdown, but had 2 costly interceptions. And again, this is a Baltimore defense that is predicated on takeaways, and they got 2 of them right there out of the hands of Tom Brady. Comparing the running backs, Bernard Pierce for Baltimore carried the ball 9 times for 52 yards, did not find the end zone. New England was able to sort of contain Ray Rice. He only had 48 yards on 19 carries, but Ray Rice did find the end zone, and that will become significant, and we'll talk about that in the X Factors here in a few minutes. Stephen Ridley for the Patriots carried the ball 18 times for 70 yards. The rest of the team only attempted 10 other rushes for 38 yards total with no touchdowns. So, again, I think more of an emphasis on a run game probably would have helped the Patriots out here. Was it going to make up 15 points? Probably not, but I think it definitely would have helped them out to have a little bit more of an emphasis on the run game. Comparing the wide receivers, Torrey Smith, 4 catches for 69 yards, but the big story through the air, again, was Anquan Boldin, one of the big stories of these playoffs. 5 receptions, 60 yards, but found the end zone twice. 2 of those 3 Flacco touchdown passes. Dennis Pitta picked up the other one, who had 55 yards on 5 catches. On the other side, again, usual suspects. Wes Welker, 8 catches for 117 yards, a touchdown, and a wife that came out at the end of the game talking shit about Ray Lewis, which, classy move there, honey. Aaron Hernandez, 83 yards on 9 catches, did not find the end zone. Brandon Lloyd added 70 yards on 7 catches and also did not find the end zone. Comparing the defenses, Baltimore was not able to sack Tom Brady, but did pick up, again, those 2 key interceptions, one by Kerry Williams, the other by Donnell Ellerbe. Bernard Pollard on the defensive side for Baltimore also forced a fumble, and Ray Lewis continues his career renaissance with 14 combined tackles. On the defensive side for New England, they were able to pick up 2 sacks of Joe Flacco. Both of those came from Rob Ninkovich. Also a forced fumble from Gerard Mayo, and Brandon Spikes led the way for New England with 11 combined tackles at the middle linebacker position. I can't say that New England's defense played a bad game. I just don't think they just didn't, clearly, well, obviously, they didn't play good enough. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the X Factors later. The first X Factor here, we talked about New England was able to sort of contain Arian Foster enough, and whether they could do that as well to Ray Rice. From a yardage perspective, they absolutely did it. They, again, only kept him to low yardage, 48 yards on 19 carries. Pretty good average. But however, they couldn't keep him from scoring. He did get into the end zone. And an interesting statistic, when Ray Rice scores a touchdown this year, including this game that Baltimore's now won, Baltimore is 7-2 this year when Ray Rice scores some kind of touchdown. So if he gets in the end zone, it's usually boding pretty well for the Ravens. Second X Factor, we talked about the football gods, whether if they did exist, maybe they were Ravens fans. I mean, you look at this game, not only does Baltimore beat the 9-point spread, which I think most people thought one way or the other they were going to do, but they double up a high-octane offense, keeping that team to only 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. I mean, that's some major intervention there. You know, maybe I'm starting to believe a little more in the football gods, because, again, even as a Ravens fan, which I identify as, even though I'm wearing a Patriots hat, I didn't think the Ravens were going to win this game. I thought it was going to be close, but I did not think the Ravens were winning this game. And again, the third X Factor we talked about in the video, has the game come down to a matter of defense. Baltimore's defense forced 3 turnovers. Like we said, it's a defense predicated on turnovers. They forced 3 of them, and they were 3 out of 4 in this game in stops in the red zone. So that is real good numbers for Baltimore. If you can stop a team like New England 3 times out of 4 in the red zone, pretty damn good to me. Whereas if you turn around and look at New England's defense, again, they didn't play necessarily a bad game per se, but they did allow 4 touchdowns and really allowed Baltimore to control time of possession. Time of possession, I believe, was a 5 or 6 minute advantage for Baltimore, and that might not seem huge to you, but they did allow Baltimore to really control time of possession in the game. So, you know, you got to step up. You got to have a play on defense in there somewhere. Unfortunately, the Pats just did not get it. Now, as I said, I was 2-3-1 predicting these 2 games. Leaves me with a record of 16-13-1 predicting these games straight up against the spread and over/under. Straight up, I'm only 5-5, which if you watched my playoff videos last year, this is having a real familiar tone to you. I was 3-1 in the wild card games, then 2-2, then 0-2. It's the exact same way it went last year, which is kind of creepy. But 5-5 straight up. I'm 5-4-1 picking against the spread. I did relatively well this week with getting that push in Atlanta, so I was 1-0-1 against the spread this week. Over/under is where I'm really gaining the majority of my wins here. I'm 6-4 on the games over/under. So obviously we're going to be taking a week break with the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to mention anything about the Pro Bowl. You won't be hearing from me with the Patriots hat here for a little while until I hit you with my Super Bowl prediction video. That's it for me. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Remember to take the time and look up the other football football prognosticators here on YouTube, because there's a lot of really, really good ones. Look up Geo Knows, look up The Football Guru, look up Molin Mears, Electric Football Show, Team Take'em. I linked to all of them, I believe, in my Week 17 video, so just go in, take a look at them, take the time to watch their videos, because their videos are really, really fantastic, so take the time to check them out. And I will see you on the video for the Super Bowl. Catch you later.